Motel of Mysteries. Although it seemed hardly possible, the contents of the inner chamber were even more dazzling than those already discovered. Harriet immediately began tagging and identifying each item while Howard drew his conclusions. As he had predicted, the second body was present, and this one appeared to have been buried with more care and ritual than the first. Wearing the ceremonial headdress, it had been placed in a highly polished white sarcophagus, which had in turn been sealed behind an exquisite and elaborately hung translucent curtain. The proportions of the sarcophagus had been precisely determined to prevent the deceased from ever sliding down into a fully reclined position. The similar postures of the two bodies led Carson to the conclusion that the proper burial position had been the chin resting as much as possible on the chest. Although the outer surface of the sarcophagus was plain, there were two sets of ceremonial markings on the inside. The first consisted of 10 parallel rows of slightly raised discs along the floor of the sarcophagus over which the body had been placed. The second was an almost entirely faded line that ran all the way around the walls, parallel to and about 10 inches above the floor. Two water trumpets, one about 5 feet above the other, projected from the end of a wall facing the deceased. Some of the music required during the final ceremony was produced by forcing water from the sacred spring through the trumpets and out through the small hole in the floor of the sarcophagus. Other music came from the music box, situated above the sacred urn. Articles number 1 and number 4 were used in preparing the body for its final journey, and number 5 was the sacred parchment, pieces of which were periodically placed in the urn during the ceremony. Carson was overjoyed to find that the sacred point was perfectly preserved on the sacred parchment. Very few had previously been uncovered, and none in such remarkable condition. The headband, which bore the ceremonial chant, and the sacred collar were still in place on the sacred urn to which they had been secured following the ceremony.